images that I have. I got a blank screen. That's the email. Okay. I'm getting a blank screen right now. Can everybody hear me or what? What's going on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. I'm very happy to be back presenting at Calumet Forum Revisited with Mike Bose, and very happy once again to collaborate with our president, Dr. Amy McCormack. And my part of the presentation will focus on name changes for Calumet College over the years. And stationery, I have images of stationery that went along with various names, and in fact, a little bit more than that. I'm going to begin by saying the year 1889, and you might say, what's that all about? It was the year that St. Joseph's College in Rensselaer was chartered. It was also the year that the Whiting Refinery was built, curiously enough. The Whiting Refinery, which brought in all kinds of immigrants into this community. But I'm going to start with 1951, the year that this college was founded, and raised three questions. Why would St. Joseph's College and the Precious Blood Order, the Congregation of the Precious Blood, which managed the school, why would they want to come up to the Hammond-Whiting area? Now, that's the first question. The second question, why Bishop Knoll? Why was Bishop Knoll used for classes? And the third question is, why start something like this in 1951? So the first answer to the first question, why would St. Joe Rensselaer want to start a college up here? The Precious Blood priests had been administering and staffing St. John the Baptist Catholic Church here in Whiting Robertsdale area since the mid-1920s. So there was a connection already established. Father Lefko in 1951 was the president, not the president, he became a future president of the college, but he was the pastor of St. John's, and he was responsible for the building of the school. The next question, why Bishop Knoll? Why would Bishop Knoll be used for classes primarily? And you're probably thinking, Ella was the only Catholic school in the immediate area. And that's correct. But another, perhaps even more significant reason was the fact that Bishop Knoll was the second highest feeder school for Rensselaer, behind St. Leo's in Chicago. But quite a few graduates from Bishop Knoll went down to St. Joe's, and they hoped to be able to increase that number, making it possible for students to earn up to 2 years of college credit by staying at home, working, saving up their money, and then going down to the Rensselaer campus. Well, very little of that ever materialized. In fact, it was a lot more of the opposite, that students would transfer here from St. Joe's in Rensselaer. The third question, why 1951? It was an optimistic time for this country. The economy was going well. a large number of baby boomers were born, and in a short time they would populate colleges across the country. A third big factor was the GI Bill. World War II and Korean War veterans, more than 2 million of close to 3 million of them entered college. So that was a big source of students. It significantly boosted the enrollment of St. Joseph's in Rensselaer. So I'm going to go into the some images for the first period. If I could share the screen with my settings here, CFR 20. I got to double click. All right, the first image, and I'm going to go into full screen here. All right, can I get rid of I'd like to get rid of I can move them around, but this is easier if I get rid of these images. All right, I'm getting can you see the?
I think you'll have to open it and then click on the image.
Open it.
You have to stop sharing this.
Could I get the videos down?
I think you'll have to stop sharing and
hide thumbnail video. You think what, Amy?
I think you'll have to stop sharing this screen and click on the video and then hit share screen and then start the video.
Oh, it's not a video exactly.
Or pick the image.
Okay, because that's going to interfere with this. So I have to get back to here, and then what?
I think you'll have to stop sharing and then reshare.
Oh boy. Oh, that's not right. Well,
try stop sharing screen and then go ahead and click on what you're looking to share, this image, and then share screen again.
Oh, stop share?
Yeah, stop share, get the image up, and then hit share screen.
Stop share. Oh, okay. So I still have that one image. That shouldn't be too bad. All right. Everybody see that? I can. No, I don't want to go. I'm going to go back. So what I could do is this is the cover for the first schedule, 1951-52 fall schedule. And you could see the Calumet Center of St. Joseph's College, the label, fall semester, that's the very first one. And the address is the address of Bishop Noel High School for the very first image I'm showing. Then I'm going.
And Walter, I'm just seeing your files, your list of files are.
Oh, that's all?
Yes, that's all. So we can't see any images on this side.
Your screen sharing is paused. You're still not getting anything. Wow. So what can I do?
Hit
Stop share?
Stop share.
Okay.
Okay, now click on your image
Where is it?
on your computer.
I hope. Here it is.
So once you have your image on your computer, then
There
do
it is.
share screen.
How's this?
Now you'll have to share your screen again.
Where's that? At the top? Okay. I see what I need to do, I think. I share screen. Oh, it's at the bottom or what? Oh, wow.
should be at the bottom of it.
Yeah. Here we are. Share screen right there.
Mhm.
Okay. And then back to my image.
And then click on your image.
And then how's that? Can you see anything?
We don't see it, Walter.
Wow. Share screen? No. You see anything now?
Yeah, it's just your files, like,
Oh, but not the image.
you know.
Oh, wow. Meeting controls. You are screen sharing. All right, I'll stop sharing again. And then press share screen. No. I had it
Click on the
down.
image that you do want to share and then hit screen share.
Press on the image.
And then click screen share.
But where's the image though? Then press on the image. Okay. This is the image. Then click screen share, wherever it is. But where is it? Up here?
I think it's at the bottom of the screen. Share screen,
Right here?
middle bottom of the
Yeah, the
screen.
middle bottom. Okay, I think right here. Okay, share. And then I get back to my image. Can you see it?
No,
No, not yet.
What do I have to do?
So if you're in Zoom, I think if you hit share screen, you should get a screen that reflects all your open files. So as long as you have that open JPEG, or
Oh,
then you can
okay.
click on it. It'll be highlighted which one you want to share. You click on it and hit share.
All right, I got to.
But you have to hit share screen in Zoom first.
All right, I was pressing. All right, I see what I was doing. I think I do now. Here we go. to double click. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes,
Wow, my apologies.
That looks like computer coding all around it, but we can see, at least we can see the announcement. It's,
Wow.
there you go. There
You
you
can
go.
see-
We're
you can
good.
Oh, thank you. All right, that's the cover for the opening. I want to move this along more quickly than I anticipated. Do I want to go back or? This is, I think, a very interesting one. Not all classes were held at Bishop Noel High School. This one, now you can't see it too well, but what I'm going to do is, was a basic oil painting class, spring semester 1952, taught by Mr. Clarence Geese, not by Precious Blood Priest, but look at the location. The studio in St. John's Parochial Center, Whiting, Indiana. That was in the basement of the school. And there were some classes held there, art classes and theater classes too, some acting, play production, and the like. So here's a class roster, and you see the 24 in front of the names, 2400. Everybody?
Yes. Is that the
Okay.
tuition?
What do you think that is?
The tuition? Is that the tuition?
No, I didn't know what it is, but it's the stipend per student for the instructor, because right here, 12, there were 12 students, so 12 times 24 would be $288. That was what the instructor got paid for that class. I'm going to go back again a little. 1955. The fall term begins. St. Joseph's College, Calumet Center, and you could see the logo. St. Joseph's College, college is dominant, certainly. But in fall 1955, students could earn an Associate in Arts certificate, as it was called. Then, and you could see community involvement certificate programs in industrial relations and law enforcement and correctional studies. So quite a bit of community activity. I'm going to jump to 1960. The logo, St. Joseph's College, Calumet Center. This is where the college became the first four-year degree granting institution in Lake County. The first, Purdue and IU were extensions until 1967. And this image is quite interesting because just what the arrow points toward, you can't see it very well, but if I zoom in a little bit, Lake Michigan, Whiting, East Chicago, Hammond, and the arrow points to 4721 Indianapolis Boulevard. Yeah, it doesn't give the address right there, but that's the location. Everything was in one building for 3 years, believe it or not. The entire operation took place out of one building. This all changed in 1963. The name became then St. Joseph's, again spelled out, College. And the college is, you could see the letter C, I think, but the other letters don't come through very well. But that's how the stationery looks. St. Joseph's College in the middle, Calumet campus. So a campus. There were an extra building, 1963, saw the addition of a property donated by East Chicago businessman Eugene Specker. the library building, a former Interstate Bakeries building, and a parking lot. By 1973, when the college announced its move to Whiting, it had acquired 12 buildings on the East Chicago site, 12 buildings and 3 parking lots. Significant event occurred leading up to, well, several events leading up to the next name change. In 1966, the previous year, the college began to pursue in earnest a separate accreditation from St. Joe Rensselaer, and both schools supported this effort quite strongly. In March 1966, a representative from the North Central Association, as it was known then, a liaison, met with the self-study committee formed by the college for accreditation to advise them and help them along. And one of his suggestions was the name Calumet College. And this is the first time I ever saw it in print. Harvey Davis, you can credit him with the Calumet College name. Liaison from the North Central Association. So the college pursued accreditation as not as just a campus, a separate campus of Rensselaer, but a separate college. And it was a bold move, and it was taking a chance. 1967, the team visited the campus and gave its report, but it postponed its recommendation, a rather ominous sign. The college said that the reason was, well, we needed to provide more documents. That's partly true, but some major problems needed to be addressed. But by the following year, March 1968, the NCA made its decision to formally accredit the college. But what changed in the year's time? Actually, there were 3 big changes that happened. The first was the installation of a new president, Father John Lefkoe, and he became recognized by the NCA team as a dynamic leader, something Father Martin, the acting president, had been, in their opinion. The college increased its enrollment. There had been a major downturn in 1966-67 caused by the loss of nursing programs affiliated with 2 local hospitals, one in Gary and St. Margaret's in Hammond. But enrollment grew. It increased quite a bit in 1967 in the fall. So those 2 reasons, and a third reason, a major concern, and the most major concern that NCA had was the college's indebtedness, a little over 1.1 million at the time. And that might not seem like a lot today, but in terms of today's money, it would be at least $6-7 million in debt. I mean, just think, a postage stamp in 1967, first class, cost 5 cents. And today, what does it cost? 49 cents. So the college got its accreditation, and it was accredited, quote, I'm going to quote this one. I want to give, wait, I got to find it here. It was quoted as it was accredited, that is, as a separate, independent institution of higher learning. There was no mention of St. Joseph's College. But the college had conditions. It had to submit detailed yearly reports, and then it would receive another major accreditation visit in 1971-72. And that is what precipitated the next name change. Right there, St. Joseph's College, St. Joseph's Calumet College. The name change went into effect December 1971, and it was part of the preparation for accreditation, because Calumet College sounds more like a separate college than Calumet campus, most certainly. So it was a transitional term, St. Joseph's Calumet College. So that lasted until 1973, when the accreditation report was glowing for 71-72. The enrollment was at an all-time high. Everybody, just a very good atmosphere on campus. So the college got 10 years and could breathe a sigh of relief for a time. So the next major change in stationery came in 1973. At the end, Calumet College. And just look at the two, St. Joseph's, Calumet College, and then Calumet College. Calumet College looks the same, the way it's designed, just with St. Joseph's taken out. Why the change? St. Joseph's, for one, wanted to get their name back, they said. The main reason was confusion in fundraising. Potential donors would say, well, they'd already given to St. Joe's. It could be us, or it could be Rensselaer. Brother Ben reminded me of an example of a donation that we picked up, a $2,000 check that we picked up and spent that was actually intended for the Rensselaer campus. So that was one of the reasons. And so separation, and to show, the college had a separate charter granted in December of '73, a separate charter as Calumet College. That was the name on the charter. So we were completely separate from St. Joseph's. How was the name received? Not very well. Alumni did not like it, and I think it's fair to say that the vast majority. The name St. Joseph's had some prestige about it. It was a well-established, well-respected a college, and would become nationally known in a short time because of its core program, an integrated general education program spread out across 4 years. But everybody who attended college in the 60s and early 70s would refer to it as St. Joe's, never as Calumet Campus or Calumet College. And alumni, I talked with many of them from that time, say they graduated from St. Joe's, whatever. And some will give the full name, but they will all say St. Joe's. So it was generally not well received. There was also there were concerns about the lack of Catholic identity in the name, but Father Lefko and others thought, well, the curriculum, the atmosphere, activities at the college would give evidence enough of the environment. And Boston College, for example, was Catholic Church affiliated, but didn't have the name. But I don't think it really worked out as well as hoped for. Another problem had to do with confusion with Purdue Calumet. I personally took quite a few calls. The person would ask for a name that I was not familiar with. I would say, well, who are you calling? And is this Purdue Calumet? Or information about a program that we didn't have. Oh, I thought I was calling Purdue Calumet when they would get us. So the final change came. Well, before that, this is a slight change in the Calumet College stationery a few years later. Actually, quite a few years from this one, St. Joseph's again, and that one. And Calumet College of St. Joseph, January 1967. Probably the best achievement during Father Schimmel's short presidency, his most memorable achievement. It was a big ceremony with Bishop Gaughan of the Diocese of Gary. The bishop supported the name change. Um, it was a big event, right? In the lobby of the college, representatives of press, newspapers, local, local radio stations, but the name was changed in Calumet College of St. Joseph, and that's a name we still have today. So Calumet College emphasized, but the connection with St. Joseph still there. You can see this early logo, then a later one. So still Calumet College dominant, but just different. And then the most recent, Calumet College is very dominant. And I think I apologize for the confusion, but I learned something with everybody's help today. At least, so I think I'll turn it over to Amy.
Okay, if you can, I'll pick up on a couple things you said,
Yeah,
but
I figured.
you can either stop sharing your screen maybe now. And well, I think of the last three images that Walter just showed, and on the street signs on Indianapolis and 129th, we have the Calumet College of St. Joseph more in the I don't know what font it is, but the third one back that he showed. And then we just last year changed our signage because we had the chevron with the Calumet College. So we now have new signage. And this most recent, yeah, so that was on our signage for our parking sign. So that's been replaced. And now our latest, which we did when I first started, is continue with the Calumet. So that was the signage that if you look at the Green Street signs, you'll see around. And then the latest name, really the same name, but the font, we have just changed that slightly to make of St. Joseph a little bit bigger underneath, because it makes it easier to read when you replicate it, especially using social media. But this was a way for us to enhance the Calumet College and slightly de-emphasize the of St. Joseph when I first started, because I started, I think less than 6 months after St. Joseph closed in Rensselaer. And so then there was a lot of confusion about whether that was us at Calumet College or whether we were still affiliated with St. Joe and Rensselaer, and if that would affect our continuation as a college. So so you can hit stop share, Walter, and we can get are you able to do that? And I'll just talk a little bit about what's in a name. When I first came, I actually really liked Calumet College. It speaks to our history and carries that forward, certainly in all the name changes, but it also grounds us in the region. We certainly are an institution that serves the region, the Calumet region. Again, before I took this job, I did a little bit of my own research, and I picked up a book that was called The Calumet Region, The Last Indiana Frontier. I can't remember the subtitle, but it was about the Calumet region and really was the history of the various cities within the region. So I really like the fact that the Calumet region spoke to the region that we serve, and that is still the same today, where it represents the students that we serve in Northwest Indiana, the South Side Chicago, the southern suburbs, and all the way to the city of Chicago. So I have learned that a lot of people talk about the Northwest Indiana as the region. Now gets referred to as Northwest Indiana, but actually the Calumet region does go into Illinois and the South Side and all the way to the city. And that is very much the student population that we serve. St. Joseph, hearing a little bit about what Walter said, it was important to me to keep St. Joseph, partly because it does speak to our Catholic identity. It speaks to our history. But I also like the fact that we are serving working class families, so tying in St. Joseph the Worker. So there was some attraction to keeping the St. Joseph. So I didn't realize that at one point it was dropped completely. And the Calumet College, I always thought people just shortened it to Cal College, but there was a time frame when St. Joseph wasn't part of our name. We have talked about changing our name to a university at times, and we do meet the criteria. We do offer graduate degrees in a number that would allow us to classify ourselves as a university. However, I feel like to me, it might be a little bit of a misrepresentation because we are very much a small college. So I think college is a good fit for us. Many people change to university to attract international populations, where college is more like a preparatory or the upper levels of high school. We don't have a large international population, so that wouldn't be the reason for us to change our name to a university necessarily. That wouldn't be a driver. It would represent the fact that we do have graduate programs, so that's always something I think of. But as Walter said, I often refer to, well, Boston College is certainly a university. There are many schools out there that still use college, even though they could change their name to a university. We also, when I first started in our strategic plan, we had to revisit the name, and I heard that there was some discussion about changing our name to St. Gaspar University or St. Gaspar College. And St. Gaspar is the founder of our sponsoring order, the Missionaries of the Precious Blood. So that's where St. Gaspar came from. And then we have a street behind us called Gaspar Road, Gaspar Drive. But to do any kind of real name recognition or branding, the amount of marketing dollars that would take for a name that is not recognized, for me, it was a very easy decision. We did not have the deep pockets to do an expensive marketing and branding campaign for a name change. And I really felt like there were reasons to keep the Calumet College of St. Joseph for the reasons I just spoke about. So it was, while we may tweak the font, at least in my time, I would not see us making another name change. I wanted to just highlight, I think on the program, it talked about the future and plans for the future, but the most common question I get right now is, how's Calumet College doing during COVID? And so with my team, just on Friday, we often have to keep our eyes on the future, and we're managing day to day and the challenges with COVID and online and keeping our students engaged. But I put together a one pager, which I'm not going to share all of them with you. I thought I would cover a few that just highlights really the momentum and the highlights of 2020. So in a time when it feels very challenging, and keeping our students engaged and supported in this environment is very challenging. We have had some significant accomplishments, so I thought I'd just share a few with you. We successfully launched our first residential option for our students at the Ileana, which is right in downtown Whiting. I think everyone on here probably knows where that is, but it is a 5-story apartment building, brand new construction, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's in collaboration with a developer, and we have a master lease. We started out with 12 units where we would put 4 students in each apartment, and that would give us capacity for 44. We actually ended up adding a 3rd unit. So that was a significant milestone for me to make sure that we tested a real demand for housing, because that is something that I heard, and we were able to do that with a master lease that didn't tap our financial resources and put us at great financial risk. So that was a real successful launch in the fall. We also, in my, certainly among my colleagues, we were able to grow our enrollment by 6%, which for small institutions like ours, I often, when I'm with my colleagues, they say, well, congratulations, that's great. We were on a path to grow much greater than that before COVID. So while it is incredible that we grew 6% at a time when commuter institutions, community colleges, which operate much more and serve similar populations, have been down double digits. I'm very grateful that we were able to grow, and that speaks to us having many things in place and being really having a solid pool going into COVID. We launched a collaboration with Community Health or Community Hospital and Franciscan St. Margaret for medical lab technology. Well, it's medical lab studies, but we have our first student, and I just find that ironic because we were working on that, and certainly the need for medical lab scientists right now could not be greater with all this testing that's being done and the ability to move from 72 hours for results to 24 hours. I mean, that's all the medical lab scientists are just in great demand right now. And, you know, we'd been talking about this program for quite some time and had our partners, and we have our first student in that program. We also are in the midst of finalizing a collaboration with Ivy Tech for cybersecurity, where they will be teaching their cybersecurity program on our campus, and it will be an associate's, but it would feed into a 4-year degree at Calumet College, most likely in business or criminal justice. So that's a great collaboration with Ivy Tech, which is 3 miles away. We also just signed this week an agreement with Marian University, where we will offer an associate's in health sciences and will lead into an accelerated bachelor's degree in nursing that will be Marian's bachelor's degree. We'll offer the first 2 years, and then it will be an online clinical program, online and then clinicals in the area with Marian University. So that again speaks to our Catholic mission to be able to collaborate with a Catholic institution, as many of our partners in the hospitals, also Franciscan and Community Hospital, have a Catholic mission or shared mission with us. We are in the midst of starting this week a library redesign, and that will be very helpful. Again, you think of thankful for the planning that we do, but part of the library redesign was really around being able to support students, and it was funded with a Lilly endowment grant. But the proposal spoke to the need for support services for our students that are more one-stop shopping. But a real key to that was hiring an instructional technologist to support faculty and students. So in this environment where we're doing Zoom and we're using a number of online platforms, faculty and students can go to the instructional technologist and get support right there in the library. So that, again, we were ahead of the curve. We were anticipating that need for the current online teaching that we were doing before COVID, but certainly that couldn't be a more important position right now. And that person started 3 weeks ago. We also have a new marketing partner. So our social media, the ability, we don't have big pockets to do billboards and very expensive print marketing and billboard marketing. So we have a new marketing partner this year that has really tapped some of our messaging and outreach to prospective students, and also our social media marketing. We were able to do a number of technology upgrades this year with the CARES money. So we tried to use that wisely to position us, in addition to supporting our students, not half, but a significant portion of the money was also used to upgrade some of our classrooms and technology needs, and making sure that we had backup servers, because when you're teaching class using our servers and Zoom and Blackboard, it is critical that, especially as we approach winter and some of the windstorms that we've had in the past couple weeks, that we have backups. Just a couple quick comments on managing and adjusting during COVID. Certainly, we've been doing a lot of that, managing during COVID, but we have continued to offer in-person courses, hybrid, virtual courses, which are courses offered via Zoom or another platform. Teams is another platform that we use, but it's at the class time. And then we do have courses that are purely online, where the students can do them at any time. We will continue with that, what we call multimodal delivery, when we come back in January. So we, at Thanksgiving, moved courses online, or I mean, not online, to remote learning after Thanksgiving. And so our final week is this week, our last week of classes. So all of those are being done remotely. However, we are still open and still providing students services in our library, and tutoring and disability support services, and faculty are available in a variety of ways: phone, Zoom. Some are available in person if absolutely necessary. We have had, since August 15th, 46 cases of COVID. We only have 3 active cases right now. So at a time when we look at everything happening around us, again, we don't have deep pockets and lots of resources, but the resources that we do have, I feel like we've been able to manage our cases. And we have put protocols in place, and several of our students are athletes, and they can't get in the building without doing a personal assessment. And so I think with us being remote learning, we might have fewer people reporting now, but right now we only have 3 active cases. And if you have any symptoms, you're asked to report through a website portal that we have. So it's certainly the impact of COVID is very unpredictable, but what we are trying to do is to be prepared and position ourselves to be small and strong, and to manage over what I think is probably a the next 18 months before we will get any predictability back to enrollment because how students will react in the fall, the economy and the implications that will have for students going to college. And we do serve a pretty significant percent of first generation to college. Students that are sometimes underprepared for college, and their family incomes are ones that don't allow a lot of additional support for college tuition. So we are very mindful of keeping our tuition below $20,000, and we did not have a tuition increase, or we will not have one for next year, and that's already been decided, so that we are very focused on maintaining our affordability and our accessibility to students. So as we look at the future and how we can be stronger, we certainly, we look at the short term, but also with an eye on strategy for the long term. We can't spread ourselves too thin. We have to focus on meeting the needs of our students and the region. In particular, the local region. We are looking at our majors, and where most of our students tend to be in business, criminal justice, education, and psychology, are our 4 largest majors. But we have smaller majors that by the time we get our students to senior year, sometimes those are 2- and 3-person majors, and that's very difficult to deliver. So we are certainly looking at how we can find synergies to be stronger during this. I say next 18 months. I'd like to think that we will be able to get some predictability on our enrollment after that, but we have no trend data for a pandemic. So it's very difficult to predict where we'll be in the fall and next spring, but hopefully we can prepare and position ourselves for the time post-COVID. I often use this tree analogy, and it came to me when we had, I think last week, Monday and Tuesday, just such significant winds that I want to feel like we can pull ourselves together to be a stronger trunk, and we don't have weak limbs that we're trying to protect from very strong winds right now. Our population certainly has been hit hard, and we've been lucky to get some additional grant funds to actually in the last 6 months. I've had about $100,000 in gifts to really support our students in retaining them during this time. So that's been helpful, in particular, the first gen, some of our DACA students that don't qualify for federal funding. So I wanted to talk just a few comments as I look at the future and trying to keep an eye on the time so I leave time for questions. Teacher education is our strength, but it's declining enrollments really across the nation, but particularly in Indiana and Illinois. And yet it's in such great demand. So there are schools, many schools that start the year with open teaching positions because they can't find teachers. And so I have just been very committed to how we can serve that need, even though we struggle to find students to enroll in teacher education. It's a really hard profession right now. And so I see a real crisis because the teachers that maybe were planning to retire 2 or 3 years from now, with COVID and switching to online and in person, you know, it's been a very stressful, challenging year for K-12 teachers. And so I fear that that will prompt some early retirements at a time when we don't have a pipeline to fill those vacancies. And it's a time when being a K-12 teacher, we're not necessarily paying them more, and yet they're going into difficult environments that has been prompted by the pandemic. So So that is teacher education is something that we've got a long history in providing teacher education, and I'm trying to figure out how we do that in this current environment because it still is a need of the region. Criminal justice and public safety, it's a real strength of ours, and we're trying to build on that strength. As I mentioned, criminal justice is one of our largest majors. I often get asked about our public safety, and we have served more than probably 3,000 is the number I hear, police officers in Chicago. We're trying to expand that market into Indiana. And the governor actually, I think there is a bill being proposed in Indiana to reallocate some of the training dollars for public safety. And so I've tried to make sure I'm part of that conversation because we have many great teachers in that program. And I think we can serve some of the needs of Indiana. In Chicago, you are now to become a police officer, you're required to have a bachelor's degree, but that is not the case in most small towns for sure. In bigger police departments, they can be a little more selective, but there are many towns, rural communities in Indiana where you're not required to have a bachelor's degree. And I personally think education can go a long way in addressing some of the issues that have been on the national platform. We have added a police psychology concentration in our master's program. And so I think that there are many opportunities with collaborations. And I often talk to students that are double majoring in criminal justice and psychology. Or students that get an undergraduate traditional degree. Our traditional undergraduate degree would be criminal justice. Public safety is our accelerated program for those that have some college credit. So criminal justice, if you went through a traditional program, you get an undergraduate degree in criminal justice. And we have had several students that have gone on to get a master's degree in psychology. So we're looking at further collaborations to make sure that we support strong student interest in criminal justice and psychology, which we have at Calumet College. Business is our largest major. So we are always looking at ways to strengthen our business program. We just actually submitted a $50,000 grant proposal to support internships in non-for-profits. So again, that's looking at Calumet College and how we serve the region. As many of you know, and I have found out in my time here, I think Lake County has more non-for-profits than any county in the country, maybe, I think I heard. So there are a lot of non-profit organizations. And so our grant proposal is to be able to support internships in non-for-profits, in particular Lake County, but it could Northwest Indiana. But we have relationships with nonprofit organizations in Lake County. And it helps to build their capacity at a time when they can't hire because nonprofits have been hit pretty hard. But it also gives our students this experiential learning. And using some of their business skills to help out a local nonprofit. So I'm also looking at another grant that would help support the same, really same proposal, but more directed towards small family-owned businesses. A lot of our Latino students have family-owned businesses where they're working, and it could support an internship at those businesses where they can get experiential learning and again, help them with some income. So we are looking at a couple organizations that might be interested in that proposal. And then we have a business management program, but there are students and there are needs in our region for people that have kind of a skill set in marketing or sales. Sales and finance are a couple areas that really have a tremendous job growth predicted. over the next 5 years. And we don't offer those majors, but there are ways for us to collaborate with others that we are looking at for online options so that students that would like to go on and get a specialized major may be able to do so. We have a digital and media communications program. It's English, IMCO, English and Media Communications, I think is the actual name of it. But really looking at serving students. We have many students that say they want to start their own business, but as all of you probably know, the social media environment really has great opportunities for many businesses to use the skill sets of someone that has a degree in digital and media communications. I heard yesterday morning on CNBC, they indicated that 35% of millennials have supplemented their income. Either one, they've lost their job during this time, or they've been furloughed or downsized, and they've supplemented their income using e-commerce. And so they've either started their own business and tried to sell stuff on the internet, or they've used e-commerce and become Uber drivers, is my guess. There wasn't a lot of detail, but I thought it was interesting to know that 35% of millennials have been able to generate supplemental income during the pandemic using the internet. So I think they've been creative with startups, and hopefully it's been in a positive way, but I definitely know people that have started blogs, even using the internet we have an alum that started a restaurant. So being able to promote themselves and keep their restaurant open for delivery. So it's just something that we want to watch on. Our liberal arts is our foundation. So I should probably lead with that, but I want to make sure that when we look at liberal arts as the foundation to our business programs, and whether it's business education, our professional programs, we definitely want our students to be flexible, lifelong learners who can certainly compete in this fast changing world that we live in. Critical thinking skills, problem solving, adaptability, oral and written communication skills, that's the core of our education, and certainly skill sets that will always be needed. As I look at COVID, it will certainly change the opportunities for students and students' expectations. And I don't know that anybody has a crystal ball to know the implications on higher education. But at a time when there's a lot of uncertainty, I'm still looking at the future and looking at a vision for 2025 and trying to make sure that our short-term next 18 months that we can be kind of, like I said, efficient and as strong as possible so that we can weather the storm. I heard a quote that I really think is so appropriate. We're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And so how we can make sure that we keep our boat afloat while we keep an eye on the land, and making sure that on the other end of COVID that we are positioned for the same kind of momentum that we've had in 2020 and that we had going into 2020, to make sure that we can have similar successes that we were able to have in 2020. So the Ileana, a big success for us. It was a milestone to test demand. We still have on our plans a small housing portfolio next to the college, and that is a couple of years behind schedule given the pandemic, but I have it on my schedule for 2022. We actually will need it next fall, but that's not going to happen given we're in December. But I anticipate there will be people, there won't be capacity in the Ileana in the fall to be able to meet the needs of the students that want a residential experience. So, but we'll manage as we have done in the past before we had a residential option. I just had 2 girls from California, one starting in January, one starting next fall. Clearly they need residential housing. So hopefully we'll be able to accommodate them. Our alumni and external support is certainly critical to help continue to support our students really and the college. So we have a strong history. We're the only Catholic college in Indiana or in Northwest Indiana, as Walter indicated. I think one of the things that's really added to our strength, which maybe sometimes we think of a hindrance, but being a commuter campus without a lot of land and multiple buildings, we are not your typical campus. And I think that is something that really has served us well in the pandemic. When I talk to my presidential colleagues that have 100 acres and multiple buildings, but they're 3,000 students. So they're 3 times our size, but the facilities that they have to maintain and the buildings and the residence halls that all have dining facilities that are very expensive with the protocols that are needed for COVID. I feel thankful that we are small and commuter, and we don't have multiple buildings that we need to manage when there are new students in them, because right now and this whole year, we have intentionally limited our density on campus. So we're trying to focus on programs that have high demand, that are serving our region, because we are a regional institution. So trying to be a lean institution, and I am very thankful for the hardworking, committed faculty and staff that have helped us through a challenging year. And we have room for growth in our donor base. So if you know people that would like to support Calumet College or have supported Calumet College, please connect me, or hopefully Walter and I have given you enough information that you can share our story. And so I'm happy to take questions. I tried to hit a few questions that I often get. I thought I always get, how's Calumet College doing? How are you doing in COVID? What are your plans? Are you still planning housing? So hopefully I've hit a few of those. Let's see, David has a question here, which you can all read. Let me read it. So the local, keeping students around the campus area after class would liven up the Whiting-Robertsdale area and benefit local businesses. So that was one of the real positives with the Ileana. So while we don't have, we have a fraction of the, well, we probably have 50% of our classes face-to-face, but even in the face-to-face environment, we were offering Zoom options. So not all of our students came to campus. And the Ileana, unfortunately, we discouraged people from going to restaurants or being out and about, but they're still using the Walgreens, Dollar General, the grocery store. They're ordering from Beggar's Pizza. They're going into the coffee shops and Dunkin' Donuts. So even though you don't sense the activity around town that I think you would have felt with another 50 students at the Ileana, I hope that will come back very quickly. And David, the other thing that I think of is the housing on campus. The other opportunity is for our sporting events, which again, right now, we don't have any going on for the fall semester, but and in January we will have basketball games and some volleyball games, but they will be closed to the general public. And so when those do come back, that also offers an opportunity to for economic development in the local area, so that I know parents that come and eat dinner and then watch their kids play. So I hope that we will continue to get back to that.
Amy, I just wanted to add the Calumet region was a book by Paul Moore.
Yes.
And and the Indiana's Last Frontier.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I know it was published at Indiana University, which was my undergrad. So
right. It's about 54, I think.
Yes. Yes. And I find it fascinating. So.
Me too. And I read that years ago, a lot of years ago, but that had so much information, and you should almost make it required reading.
Well, I will tell you one thing that I did get out of that book, which is about the geography and the region, but it talked about the Whiting really was around transportation and the railroad and then the refinery. And so for me, I remember reading it again before I started here, and I came in with, we should have a logistics program, because, well, now I was ahead of the curve maybe then too, because now Amazon is everywhere and logistics is so important. But I got that idea from just, it's grounded in our history and where we're located and all the rail, and even BP, the movement of refined oil is all logistics. So I thought that would be a good program for us, but we didn't, and we don't at this time have faculty expertise in that area. So that would have to be something that would be developed through our business department. And I know PNW has a program, and so always doing kind of demand and competitive analysis.
Actually, I should give credit to Dave Klein, is the one through chat reminded me that it was Paul Moore's book, but it's a great book.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Questions or
Comments?
Valerie and Walter could maybe add a few things that I've forgotten, but they can help me answer questions too. And Don's been around for a long time, but. Well, you know where to find me, McCormack at ccsj.edu. It's on the distribution. So if you think of questions, I'm certainly happy to answer any questions, or if you think of ideas, or again, if you think of organizations, foundations, granting agencies that I can share our story. I'll be there in a minute. So
Okay,
thank you very much.
Yes,
all right. I actually have a question. The winter solstice at Wolf Lake, is that happening?
I'm not sure if that's on this year, although I kind of think that it probably is.
It's one of the few activities outdoors, but I know in Lake County, with us being in the red zone, and I'm guessing we will continue to be in the red zone for the solstice, that maybe it's not a good idea, but
I'll check up on that and then give you an update, because I was just thinking of that the other day, and the Environmental Education Center is closed down, so especially to the public, and that's usually where what we use as a starting point. But but Dave doesn't live that far from there, so but I'll get in touch with him and then get back to you on it.
The walks and the hikes are good things during COVID for sure. So.
And it's fun. That is fun.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm gonna sign off.
Thank Walter as well, and remind everybody we'll be back on January 5th after the holiday season. And if I don't see any of you or whomever I haven't seen, I wish you all a Merry Christmas And we'll see you in January then.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
Good night.
Great.
chiming in. Take care.
Okay.